Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
But for a group of vets visiting the World War II Memorial in Washington, which is called an honor flight, the shutdown was not stopping them from seeing the tribute that was inspired by them.
It just goes to show you why we won the World War II.
Many elderly veterans, some in wheelchairs, broke through the barricades set up around the memorial as police and Park Service employees looked on.
The Germans and the Japanese could not contain us, and they weren't going to let barriers contain them today. They want to see the memorial.
Honor Flight of Northwest Ohio has a trip scheduled to depart from Toledo next Wednesday.
We will make the final call this Friday to determine exactly if the flight's still a go or if we have to reschedule.
All right, folks, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. We told you about this story yesterday. We even had Pete Hoekstra, former congressman, who was at this site of this as the World War II veterans viewed and went to the World War II Memorial. They arrived from the various states around the country on an honor flight, flights that carry these World War II heroes for free to Washington, D.C., so they could attend a ceremony at the World War II Memorial, see it for the first time, and just revel in the grandeur of it all. Now, what you just heard was a report out of Toledo that another group is scheduled to fly next week out of Toledo to see the World War II Memorial. Now let me take you, well, here's the next cut from that report. This will be cut 53.
Honor Flight is considering going even if the government is still on shutdown, but when the organization called the Park Service, they were told they would face arrest.
And I said, are you kidding me? You're going to arrest a 90 or 91-year-old World War II veteran from seeing his memorial? If it wasn't for them, they wouldn't be there. She said, that's correct, sir.
99% of those veterans on honor flights have never had the opportunity to see the memorial devoted to their service. Through October, there are over 3,500 veterans scheduled to visit the site, all in limbo if the government can't complete their job.
All right, now, imagine threatening these people with arrest. That was, again, a report out of Toledo talking about what happened yesterday briefly and then focusing on the group from Toledo that's supposed to take an honor flight to the World War II Memorial next week. Now, there are reports from the Daily Caller, and there are reports from Stephen Hayes, and there are reports from others that it was the Obama administration that knew about the World War II veterans' request yesterday and denied their request. It is an outrage. It is who this president is. It is what this administration is. It's what the Democrats are all about. The White House and the Department of Interior rejected a request from Congressman Stephen Palazzo's office to have World War II vets visit the World War II Memorial in Washington yesterday. This according to the Mississippi Republican congressman. He helped the veterans commit an act of civil disobedience against the Park Service yesterday when the heroes stormed through the barricades around the closed memorial. This is disgusting. Stephen Hayes tweets out, let me get this straight. At the World War II Memorial, Carol Johnson with the Park Service says they were told to close the site by White House Office of Management and Budget. That's what's going on in this country. Now, before we get to more on this, let me just point out to you that the Republicans in the House yesterday, last night, tried to fund three separate aspects of the government, one benefiting Washington, D.C. The other two, one of them would have opened the national parks and monuments, and another would have provided our veterans with the services. Just like the military is going to keep getting paid, this would have funded our veterans services. It had to pass by a 2/3 vote in the House to be sent to the Senate. So you would think, who's going to vote against this, right? Funding the veterans, opening the national monuments and parks, and a bill benefiting the people of Washington, D.C.? Enough Democrats voted no to kill all three bills. It's who they are. It's what they do. It's the game they're playing. It's the game they're playing. Now, back to the issue at hand here and these, excuse me, these White House, these World War II veterans. Here is an NBC report last night on the incident at the World War II Memorial, which took place yesterday. And notice they say that which took place yesterday. And notice they say that and I'll prove it to you, but here's NBC's report cut 54.
These vets came on a long-planned and impossible-to-cancel honor flight, a journey paid for by donations. All were disappointed to be locked out, and few were interested in having their plight played for some political purpose.
Are you disappointed with what Congress has done?
Okay, that's something else. If you don't want to get involved in a political thing, what do you say?
Jim Wood's sons put this trip together for their father months ago.
At my advanced age, I don't know whether I'll get back or not. That's the problem.
There was rare bipartisan agreement among the elected officials present that closing this open-air memorial was not a good idea. Eventually, the gates were moved and the vets came through. Park officers stood aside.
Okay, problem was there was rare bipartisan agreement among those present. There really wasn't any bipartisan people present. There were Republicans present. Republicans, a handful of Republican congresspeople got those barricades taken down. But NBC News says it was a bipartisan effort. Really? Well, here is Michelle Bachmann telling how she and others got it done. Cut 55.
We figured if we were here, we could use our authority and get these veterans in. We were able to do that. And it was pure joy for them. I think even greater joy for us. So it was Republicans that were here, but I have no doubt that this would be bipartisan. That if Democrats got the email, I think they'd come down too. Because I think one thing we all agree on is our World War II veterans and all of our veterans to uphold them.
Okay, there were no Democrats there. That was not from the NBC report. That's separate. That's a YouTube video of Michelle Bachmann. But according to NBC News, hey, it was bipartisan. It was bipartisan. Wrong, it was not. And Michelle Bachmann says she's sure that if the Democrats had gotten the email, they would have come down to because everybody loves our veterans. Everybody loves our veterans? Then why, oh why, did the Democrats in the House vote no when it came to funding veteran services during the shutdown? I ask you that. 855-777-9660. Do I appear angry today a little bit? Yeah, I'm a little angry. You know, my dad was a World War II veteran. He didn't fight. He says he fought the Battle of Seattle, may he rest in peace. But there aren't many of them around anymore. And to treat them like this, and then to have NBC News say it was a bipartisan effort, salami, bologna, as they used to say on Popeye. Okay, we're coming back. Michael Barone. The great Michael Barone of the Washington Examiner will join us, talk about all of this and more on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Did you know that right now, some retail banks around the country are allowing people to exchange ordinary paper dollars for real holding-your-hand silver? That's right. You can walk into almost any ordinary bank in the U.S. Then, after a short and free transaction, they might hand you a fistful of silver that's worth $50, maybe $100 or more.
Anybody can do it. That's what amazed me. It doesn't take much to go in there and walk out with some silver.
It's part of a weird transaction that very few people know about, but anyone can try this. You don't even need an account with the bank. A former Wall Street professional posted a free video about, but anyone can try this. You don't even need an account with the bank. A former Wall Street professional posted a free video on .com, and check it out. Keep in mind, this silver is disappearing fast. Over 2 million people have watched this video already. So check it out for free right now before the silver is all gone. Again, just go to retirementsilver35.com to watch the free video which details this exciting silver loophole.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show?
Everywhere.
From your smartphone to satellite radio
to Newsmax Live TV
to Roku,
we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am so thrilled to welcome to the studio a man that I've talked to on the radio for so many years. Honored to have the great Michael Barone, who, of course, is a senior political analyst at the Washington Examiner, best-selling author, and the author of a brand new one just out yesterday and climbing to the top of the Amazon charts in its category, Shaping Our Nation, How Surges of Migration Transformed America and Its Politics. Welcome, sir. Glad to see you in the studio.
It's nice to see you in person.
Well, thank you. Okay, all right. So let's I want to talk about the book and all that, but first, your insight, your valuable insight into where we are and where we're going with this shutdown, and then, of course, the debt ceiling.
Well, I blame James Madison and the 39 other signers of the Constitution because they disperse power between the president, who gets to run the government, and the Congress, which funds it. And that suggests that there's sort of a constitutional duty of consultation. Our current president doesn't seem to have faithfully executed that part of the implicit Constitution by stating, I do not intend to negotiate. I will just veto anything that's different from exactly what I want. I think we may be seeing a little bit of a climb down on that. I think the Republicans have gotten themselves out on a limb, and they take some risks with public opinion and government shutdown, although the pre-shutdown polls are not quite as ominous for them as those before the 1995-96 shutdowns. And in this case, they are campaigning, or at least yelling and screaming, against something that's unpopular, which is Obamacare. So let's go back and blame James Madison.
Well, yeah, no, and of course, Obama is going to meet with the congressional leaders. Boehner supposedly talked with Harry Reid today, but Jay Carney has indicated that Obama, he said Obama doesn't want anything, so there's nothing to negotiate because he doesn't want anything. Well, then what are you having him to the White House for?
Well, this is a president who seems to be an individual that doesn't like...
What are you having him to the White House for?
Well, this is a president who seems to be an individual that doesn't like...
Speaking, yeah.
Yeah, we know that the August 2011, when we had a breakdown of the grand bargain negotiations, the poll ratings for both the president and for the Republicans in Congress fell, and something like that is possible. But, you know, one of the reasons we have this crisis is demographic. It's related to something in shaping our nation.
And that's in the book, yeah.
Which is about surges of both immigrant migration and internal migration. And in this case, it's about internal migration. The last 40 years, since about 1970, one of the things that's been going on in the U.S. is what I call volitional migration. People have been moving from high-tax states to low-tax states, and people have been moving to places that are culturally congenial. So that has meant that we have more heavily Democratic localities, more heavily Republican localities, fewer target states. Democratic voters of the Obama coalition, blacks, Hispanics, gentry, liberals, tend to be clustered in certain big cities.
Yeah.
Here in Manhattan, we may be in the midst of one.
Yeah.
And they cast huge margins for Democrats, which give them an advantage in the Electoral College because they clinch certain large and medium-sized states, and they got those numbers
right away.
Going
They're locked
in.
up, yeah.
Republicans don't have that kind of cache of electoral votes in the bag. But Republicans are more spread around the country, so when you have equal population districts, you have Republicans are at an advantage because Democrats are clustered in a few districts. Republicans are spread out and carry more districts.
So this migration that as you've defined it and are talking about it right this second, is that beneficial to Republicans?
It's beneficial to Republicans at the legislative level.
Right, but not the presidency.
The presidency, it's worked out for the Democrats at the electoral. So Obama had an easy majority in the Electoral College, 332 votes. But when you look at how many congressional districts he carried, he carried only 209. Mitt Romney carried 226 districts. So it's not a surprise in a time of straight-ticket voting that the Republicans have a majority in the House of Representatives, as they have in 8 of the last 10 congressional elections, and that they feel entitled to try to advance their policy preferences.
Yeah, no, and their argument is, you know, Congress was elected as well, and these congressmen who are voting the way they are reflecting the views of their constituencies. We don't base our policies and laws on, well, this president won, so everything he ran on he gets, no matter who else is in Congress.
Well, James Madison and 39 others wrote a constitution that doesn't put all power in the president.
But that's an inconvenience. It's a flawed document, Obama has always said.
Well, he seems to be not faithfully executing some parts of Obamacare as well.
Well, how does he get away? Would you tell me? How does he get away with picking and choosing parts of a law? His argument is it's the law of the land, yet he picks and chooses who has to follow that law. How do they let him get away with that constitutionally?
Well, sometimes you have issues that are not testable in courts under judicial doctrine. Ultimately, the power rests in the people. Go to the polls periodically and elect people, and no decision is ever final.
We're talking to Michael Barone. He is the author of a great new book, Shaping Our Nation, How Surges of Migration Transformed America and Its Politics. It's out yesterday, so it's out today here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let's talk about where we're headed, maybe with immigration and how that might influence migration, or how the immigration might just affect American politics in general. I say it's suicidal for Republicans to approve this immigration bill, because 99% or 90% of the people who come in are going to vote Democratic, and no matter how far the Republicans go, they'll never satisfy everyone, so they'll be called, you know, an impediment to real immigration reform.
Well, one of the things I found in looking through the data is that surges of migration, whether immigrant or internal, typically start when no one expects them to. And going back to the Scots-Irish coming over before the American Revolution, going up to the volitional and immigrant migrations of the last 40 years, they only last 1 or 2 generations, and they end when nobody expects them to as well. People are coming not just for economic incentives, though those play a role. They're coming to pursue dreams and escape nightmares. One of the things we've seen is that the Mexican migration, very huge from 1982 to 2007, all the projections were for it to continue forever. It stopped in 2007. We've had no net migration from Mexico, and I think that is part of, not just because the economy crashed, that's one reason. The other reason is if you look at where the foreclosures of houses were in 2007 to 10, heavily Hispanic areas, probably 33% of them. These were people that had a dream. They'd work hard, legal or illegal. Right. They'd get a mortgage on terms that the government gave them too easily. Right. They weren't credit worthy, and then crash. They hoped they'd come out $300,000 ahead. Right. That's a dream if you started off in rural Mexico. Sure. Well, instead their dreams were shattered, and now I think the United States looks less like a dream to them. Well, instead their dreams were shattered, and now I think the United States looks less like a dream to them. I don't expect that we'll ever see that kind of migration from Mexico again.
Even if with legalization, if that comes?
Legalization, well, we've got the number of illegal, the Census Bureau estimates the number of illegal Mexicans in this country has declined by 900,000 since 2007. Now, the number of those from other countries is correspondingly up a little bit, but the fact in 2011-12, but we've got fewer illegal immigrants in the country than in 2007.
Folks, there is nobody who during election time, or if you want to know right now what chance the Republicans have to take back the Senate or focus on a single congressional district and a 2-block radius of that district, Michael Barone is the man he always has been, and he translates all that into how migration has transformed American politics in shaping our nation. And I hope we'll call on you for political analysis in the future, as always.
Absolutely.
All right, Michael, pleasure and great luck with the book, sir.
Okay, good to see you.
Michael Barone, the senior political analyst at the Washington Examiner, ladies and gentlemen. And again, shaping our nation. I am holding it in my hand, now hands, for those of you watching it at Newsmax TV. When we come back, marijuana, the legalization of marijuana, the usefulness of marijuana. I still say it's a gateway drug, and we're heading in the wrong direction. I have a 14-year-old kid. I don't want to legalize pot. Wrong message. Actually, he's 14 today. We're coming back on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes. A special website has been created just for you. At the free website 99reverse.com, we reveal the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. People who have followed this plan, exactly as found at 99reverse.com, have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's astounded approval. Now you can take this natural, safe, and drug-free approach to reversing diabetes. You won't get this advice anywhere else. At 99reverse.com, we reveal 3 common doctor recommendations about diabetes and why they are horribly wrong. Plus, you get 3 specific actions to take right now today that get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Go right now to 99reverse.com. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now, while this revolutionary video is still available online for free. People who have followed this plan have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medication. That's 99reverse.com. 99reverse.com.
When you were younger, you probably never considered your heart health. But cardiologist Dr. Chauncey Crandall knows from experience that taking steps to care for your heart becomes more crucial as the decades pass, if you want to keep this vital organ ticking smoothly for years to come. That's why Dr. Crandall recently developed Cardio Advanced, a nutritional supplement containing 12 special ingredients, all selected to help improve and maintain your heart health and normal cholesterol levels. The flagship of this exclusive formula, esterified plant sterols, may help lower your risk of heart disease when taken as part of a diet low in cholesterol and fat. And great news, now you have the opportunity to try a 30-day supply of Cardio Advanced. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act right now, you'll also receive a free doctor's guide to a healthy heart as a special bonus. Please visit cardioadvanced.com/radio for complete details on claiming your 30-day bottle of Cardio Advanced and free report. That's cardioadvanced.com/radio. Life is too precious to ignore your heart health. Visit cardioadvanced.com/radio now while supplies last.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Remember, in about 2 hours from now, the president will be meeting with congressional leaders at the White House. We'll talk to Susan Ferrecchio, chief congressional correspondent at the Washington Examiner, in a little while. We'll get the latest on that, and we'll keep you up to date. Joining us now, though, is Martin Lee, who is the author of several books. His latest is Smoke Signals, and we have him on because it's a great topic to debate. And the debate focus. We have him on because it's a great topic to debate, and the debate focus service that reports on. I call it marijuana. They call it cannabis. But anyway, the science of it, the therapeutics of it, and he was I should say Martin, who's in studio with me, welcome, was the founder of FAIR, Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting, which I would describe as a left-wing group, but it's good that we could both be here talking about a topic that we probably disagree on.
I think it's an accurate description, although I'm the co-founder, not the sole founder.
Co-founder. All right. Well, see, I was going to give you all the credit, but you didn't want it. All right. So, marijuana. Now, first of all, CBD is cannabis something?
It actually stands for cannabidiol. It's one of many components of the marijuana plant. And interestingly, it's a component that is not psychoactive. It doesn't make people feel high. It doesn't make people feel stoned. And it has tremendous medicinal attributes.
All right, so you're telling me, okay, because this is educational to me, that there's a part of the marijuana plant that could be separated and just used for medicinal purposes and would not have any of the effects of, like you just described, getting high or stoned or anything of that nature?
Yes, it could be. That's what pharmaceutical companies are looking at. But actually what the scientists are finding is that when combined with THC, the high causer, tetrahydrocannabinol, it actually potentiates CBD and vice versa, so that when combined together, they even have stronger medicinal properties, particularly with respect to shrinking tumors. They're finding these components have many other things.
All right, so in your book, I mean, first of all, the debate that's going on now, you know, I like to separate the medicinal debate from the libertarian war on drugs is no good, and let's legalize pot, and let's tax it and the government can make money and blah, blah, blah. Where do you stand on that? I mean, do you draw a distinction between the medicinal use and the call for legalization for general use?
Well, in terms of the medicinal aspect, which I'm most interested in because I do think it has significant therapeutic aspects to it, you can't really fully realize the therapeutic potential of marijuana if it's still illegal, if it's still legal for recreational use, because a lot of people through recreational use have discovered therapeutic value in it. So really, I see the two issues together, although, it's interesting because there's a lot of tension within the medical marijuana industry and the broader legalization movement. They don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything.
Okay, well, if it became, let's say it was widely legalized. Right now it's legalized for medicinal use in various states, but not in others. But let's say it was widely legalized and accepted. Wouldn't it be an option, just as a doctor could prescribe if other treatment wasn't working, or they might say, would you like to try the marijuana? Why would someone have to use it illegally to try it on their own if it were legalized for medicinal purposes?
Well, it is in 20 states now legal for medicinal purposes, but many other places it's not. And sometimes people generally the first encounter one has with marijuana, for most people, is going to be in an illegal recreational context. And then they might discover, hey, this is good for pain or whatever it might be.
But I think they're more apt to discover it's good to get high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, there's a fine line between getting high and feeling better in that way and feeling better in other ways. So I would say there's a rather murky line separating recreational and medicinal use.
All right. But then, so there have been studies that have been done that call marijuana a gateway drug. Growing up, I got to say, I honestly never put a joint to my lips, never tried drugs. I guess I'm too much of a hypochondriac to have ever tried that. But I know people who, went for marijuana and then go to the next step. So what do you say to people who say that this is a gateway drug, and why provide that legal ability or option for people to get started?
Well, the gateway theory, as it's called, the idea that marijuana is a stepping stone to harder drugs, has been pretty much debunked by several government commissions in the United States and other countries. The National Academy of Science, the last report put out in the early 80s, debunked that idea. And what they found, when they did surveys of inner cities in the United States, 35 different cities, they found that when marijuana was more available, hard drug use was less evident, and that when marijuana was less available, hard drug use was more. And that's just the opposite of what the gateway idea
Well, I
would
mean,
suggest.
It depends if the person started on marijuana first and then couldn't get any more and then opted for the next one, or do people turn to, I mean, I can't imagine anybody who wants to get marijuana not being able to find marijuana, and they'd be more comfortable with it, and it'd be easier than finding cocaine or heroin or LSD or any of those things. So I don't understand the logic of that. But I mean, there are reports that I don't have in front of me that say the opposite. But there's also scientific evidence, and I know people. You could tell people who if you talk to them enough and you hang out with them enough, or you work with them, or not here, but you could tell that they've done a lot of pot in their life. It has an effect on the brain, according to many studies, and long-term effect. And it's just something that you wouldn't want again. I wouldn't want my kid to have the option at 18 to go to the store and buy marijuana.
Well, most people, when they try marijuana, it doesn't become a big thing in their lives. Some try it. A lot of people don't like it, actually. They find that it's more dysphoric than euphoric. But those that do might use it occasionally or casually from then on. And there's a very small percentage who become obsessive users, morning, noon, and night, both teenagers and adults.
But you don't have to be obsessive to have it having a long-term effect on your brain. Why legalize it? Forget the medicinal. Let's separate the medicinal. I mean, if it helps people medicinally and they're really sick and then going chemo or whatever, then I'm all for it. If it helps relieve their pain, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are other things that could relieve their pain. But medicinal aside, why on earth would you legalize marijuana?
Well, just for starters, about the idea of marijuana hurting the brain, there is no scientific consensus for that at all.
We could argue that back and forth, yeah.
The overwhelming consensus among the scientists, not the political people in Washington, is that that compounds in marijuana have a neuroprotective effect that actually protect the brain, including protecting the brain against alcohol poisoning. Interesting.
Okay, so you never run into a case where you could tell someone has been doing pot most of their life. You can't tell a difference. You can't tell see a little space out about them. You can't. If you were presented with two people, and you would have no idea which one was the pot user.
Maybe. Barack Obama was a big pot user as a teenager.
That's true.
Whether you like his policies or not, it doesn't seem to have affected his ability to succeed in life. But that's one example. The point is that, people might be a little bit spaced out, a few loose screws for many reasons. And they might have something wrong with them that compels them to use marijuana a lot. And that the spaciness, that kind of the stone freaky feeling you get from somebody as you're describing, might not be from the marijuana so much, but from whatever it is that's driving them to use it compulsively.
We're talking to Martin Lee, author of Smoke Signals, director of Project CBD, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, so let's, again, with all due respect, so you're telling me that if someone appears to be spaced out of marijuana and they use marijuana, they may be spaced out appearing because of the thing that drives them to use it, and they use marijuana, they may be spaced out appearing because of the thing that drives them to use the drug, or that it damages the brain. Again, I take issue with all of that. But what's your argument for? Are you also in favor of legalizing cocaine, legalizing heroin, legalizing all these drugs?
Well, I suppose one can make an argument for that, but I've studied cannabis, marijuana as a historian, and that's what I'd prefer to focus on. I mean, I think certainly marijuana should be made legal.
Why?
Because it should never have been made illegal in the first place.
But it's a substance. It's a you're also, if I think I remember before, you're not saying no. You separated them. It's a mind-altering substance.
Many things are.
Yeah, but why would you want to legalize another one? We have 50,000 deaths a year on the highway because of alcohol. So why would you want to say, hey, here's another thing that you could take and smoke, and it might be against the law, but go ahead, go get high, and maybe we'll have 30,000 more deaths from people who don't drink but do pot, or will do pot. Why would you
But you don't have that from marijuana. You do from alcohol. There's no question. There's a lot of violence.
And why don't you have it from marijuana?
Because it's a much safer substance.
So somebody high on marijuana could drive?
Yes, many do.
I'm afraid many do.
And what they found in states that have legalized marijuana for medical purposes, there was a recent study, it was published just a few months ago, showed that in those states, traffic accidents go down because there's less drunk driving, because the more people smoke marijuana, the less they use alcohol.
So you're saying people who use marijuana for medicinal purposes, maybe for chemo or something else, were taking alcohol first, and now they switched to marijuana? Why would they have been taking alcohol to help them for medicinal purposes?
No, just in general. They found that in states where it's legal for medicinal purposes, and a lot of people use it recreationally under the pretext of medicine.
I don't know who does these studies, and it matters who does the studies, who pays for the studies, and I don't have these studies in front of me, and I'm sure you could cite them, but it wouldn't mean anything to me because I don't know how to, I have to look into the organizations involved. But common sense would dictate. What do you say to the common sense argument that we don't need more drugs, we don't need more people high, we don't need more people walking around high, we don't need more people who might, hey, we know that crack cocaine, for instance, at least in this city, at least before Giuliani, was a major driver of crime, because people would get addicted and they'd have to have a fix, and they had no money, so they went and they robbed people. What about teenagers or 18 or 19, unemployed? We have a huge unemployment problem in this country, who would go into the drugstore or wherever, buy some pot, like it, and want more, and they don't have any money. So they'll go rob somebody.
See, the fact of the matter is there's millions of people that smoke marijuana or otherwise use it in this country already, whether it's legal or not. So whatever problems there would be as a result of using marijuana, we'd already see them.
So there's not going to be any increase in marijuana smokers?
Actually, I think if marijuana is legalized across the board, there'd probably be not too much increase in recreational use, because most people in America who want to smoke marijuana are already doing it. They're not waiting on the edge of their seats to become legal. Where you'll see a change is in the medicinal use, because when people learn that there's kinds of marijuana out there now that don't get you high, or that are very little psychoactivity because of this CBD, the cannabidiol, when it's in the product or strains, and it has such tremendous medical properties, that will bring a lot of new people into the marijuana scene, as it were, who otherwise would not be at all interested in going in a dispensary with a Bob Marley poster.
But when you legalize it, there's going to be advertising for it, unless it's banned like cigarettes. but I would doubt that they would legalize it for non-medicinal purposes, recreational purposes, and then say it's bad like tobacco, so you're not going to advertise for it. So I'm sure there'll be commercials. Like I said, teenagers will see those commercials, and then when they become of age, they'll go buy it, they'll try it. They've been hearing about it. It's like breakfast cereal. It's like anything else. Plus, maybe some of them have done it on the sly at growing up as teenagers illegally, and now they're going to be able to go buy it. You don't think that's going to increase tenfold the amount of pot users in this country?
Teenagers are already buying it. The average age for an American teenager to try marijuana for the first time is 14 years
But that's
and
a
10
horrific
months.
thing. That's not a good thing.
That's just a fact.
But it's a bad thing.
It's neither good or bad.
Sure, it's bad. Wait. How can it not be bad?
Well,
not
I'm
be
saying,
bad? How?
Well,
it's illegal. It's mind-altering for teenagers. It disrupts their studies. It leads to other drugs. It leads to mischief. How can it be a good thing?
You're painting with a very broad brush here.
So you think 14-year-olds should be doing pot?
No, I didn't say that. I said
that
that
it's
they
bad
are,
if they do.
That they are doing it. All I'm saying is
Well, isn't
fact.
that bad?
And if the law changes, it won't affect one way or another.
Sure it will.
If the law stays the same, people will still do it when they're young.
Is it bad for 14-year-olds to do marijuana if they're doing it now?
There's much healthier and better ways to deal with stress. Marijuana is a stress-reducing agent, and I would say that if you're a teenager or if you're a parent of a teenager who is an obsessive marijuana smoker...
No, forget obsessive. If you're a parent of a teenager, and if I caught my kid with pot or any drug, that would be the end. I would take his cell phone, I would ground him, I would punish him. He would never touch it again while he's living in my house. I could assure you of that. You think that's a bad idea?
I don't know what happens when he's out of your house, though. Well, I'm not going to tell you how you should parent your child.
What do you think? I'm asking you.
I think I would much prefer that a person or a young person older be smoking marijuana than drinking or doing something that's known to be toxic to the brain and nervous system.
Well, is marijuana known to be toxic. I don't see how you can sit here and say, so there are no ill effects from long-term smoking marijuana.
I didn't say that.
Well,
I said that there is no scientific consensus that shows marijuana damages the brain in any way, shape, or the form. Alcohol damages the brain. Chemotherapy damages the brain. You can measure the brain. You can do tests on animals. You can expose them to these. There has never been studies that actually demonstrates physical harm to the brain.
I don't believe that at all. I've seen many studies. Like I said, I don't have them in front of me. I think it's common sense that if you take a mind-altering drug and you get addicted to it or you use it frequently over many years or maybe even less years, you're gonna suffer consequences like anything you do.
We have marijuana-like compounds in our brains and bodies that are happening 24/7 all the time. They're very, very similar to marijuana compounds, and they do very, very important things in terms of regulating many different physiological processes.
What do you mean marijuana-like compounds?
Yes, we have marijuana compounds are called cannabinoids. THC, the high causer, CBD, the non-psycho, and many others. It just exist in that plant alone. Cannabinoids. They exist in the plant kingdom, just in
which you
marijuana.
said don't get you high.
But there are also cannabinoids, cannabinoids that exist within our own body, and they play a crucial role in how we function every day, what our mood is. And then there's cannabinoids that scientists make up in laboratories, and they use to study how the brain works. This is a very important study that scientists, it's a very important discovery.
Give me one positive to legalizing marijuana for non-medicinal purposes.
Okay, well, let's compare the studies.
No, one positive. No studies, one positive. You tell me.
Here's the positive. When you look at a group of marijuana smokers and non-marijuana smokers, as sociologists and scientists have, and you compare them, they find marijuana smokers have less incidence of Alzheimer's, less incidence of diabetes, less incidence of metabolic syndrome,
so
use less painkillers, and have less alcohol.
So you're saying marijuana is a good thing. Marijuana will help people. Marijuana, not medicinally, but long-term medically. Marijuana is good for you medically. Marijuana is good for your psyche. Marijuana is good for your habits. Marijuana is good for you. That's why it should be legalized. That's what you're saying.
It might be good for some people, not for others. No, I'm not saying that.
You just did. You just said you won't get addicted to alcohol. You won't have Alzheimer's. You just said it.
No, I said when you compared the two groups, I didn't say that anyone who smokes marijuana won't have Alzheimer's or won't have diabetes.
And you attribute the differential in the two groups you just mentioned to pot smoking. There's no other explanation.
There may be other factors, but it's quite significant. These studies show this.
Right,
for example, the THC that either a kid smokes when they bring it or an adult, it has been shown at the Scripps Research Institute in San Diego, very respectable, very important medical science research institute, that the THC suppresses an enzyme in the brain that's involved in the formation of beta amyloid plaque. That's the hallmark of Alzheimer's. This is proven science. There is no
so is global warming, supposedly. Only the temperature hasn't risen in 15 years.
It's pretty hot today, though.
Pretty hot today, and we'll end it on that that happy note because I'm glad that it's hot out there today. All right, I just got to say, it's my son's 14th birthday. If I ever saw him with pot, he would regret it for the rest of his life, and I think most parents feel that way. And I think saying that a 14-year-old could smoke pot because it's better than alternatives is kind of nuts. But I'm glad you came up. And the book, folks, is Smoke Signals by Martin A. Lee. No relation to Robert E. Lee, I presume.
Who was a big enthusiastic supporter of hashish as a medicine, by the way.
Of course he was. Of course, everybody was.
I'll show you the document.
Robert E. Lee liked pot, folks. What a way to end it.
So did Ulysses S. Grant.
And who's buried in Grant's tomb? And what's in there with him?
What we hope it's Grant.
A lot of paraphernalia?
Who knows?
All right. Martin, thanks for coming up. All right, folks. All right, folks, we're coming back. Steve Malzberg right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Newsmax, do you want to weigh in? 855-777-9660. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you worried about not having enough money to retire? Finally, there's a retirement solution designed to address the damage that the government spending policies and the Federal Reserve have inflicted on the value of the dollar. Introducing the Heritage Advantage IRA, the new gold and silver-backed retirement account from Heritage Gold Group. Don't let the declining value of the dollar put your retirement in jeopardy. The Heritage Advantage IRA puts retirement savers back in control with physical gold and silver combined with the tax advantages of an IRA. Call 855-GOLD-IRA to request your free, no-obligation Heritage Advantage IRA kit. Inside, you'll find information about how to buy physical gold and silver with your existing IRA or 401k. No additional investment required. Call 855-GOLD-IRA for your free Advantage IRA kit. Don't wait. Plans for new regulations may eliminate rules allowing you to buy gold and silver with your existing IRA or 401k. Call 855-GOLD-IRA. That's 855-465-3472.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book.
Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows.
We have TV cameras.
Watch the show at Newsmax.com
or listen on your favorite radio station.
Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. 855-777-9660. Very interesting conversation. I'm proud of myself. I was very restrained and polite. I'm always polite. You know, I get heated, I get passionate, but very interesting. You know, I just, you know, to say there's no scientific studies that show this, there's no scientific studies that show that, yet there are tons of them that show the opposite. It's just, in my opinion, not true. I don't have the studies in front of me. Maybe I should, but you want them, I'll find them. Let's go to Jim on the phone in Florida. Hello, Jim. You're on the Steve Malzberg Show there. Sir, thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Jim. How are you?
No, you're Jim. I'm Steve.
I'm sorry, Steve.
That's okay. I love when people do that, but that it means you're a little nervous. Take a deep breath. You're only talking on the phone. Go ahead.
Steve, first of all, great debate. I enjoyed the debate thoroughly. There was just a few points that I felt that you made that were inconsistent.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The crack analogy, I don't think you can compare crack to marijuana. First of all, it's a totally different dependency. I believe one's physiological, one's psychological.
My point, though, was that if you become addicted or you like it so much and you're unemployed and you can't afford it and now it's available in the store, crack wasn't, but this will be. Then if you were apt to maybe mug somebody for crack cocaine money, maybe you'll be apt to mug some money for marijuana.
Couldn't you say the same about alcohol? Couldn't you say the same about...
Absolutely. So why inject another drug out there?
The thing with marijuana is if you really have that big of a dependency, guess what? You can grow it. And that's
all right. I just don't see why you would add it. Listen, I appreciate the call, Jim. Thank you. Call me again, please. I'm just up against a hard break here. Folks, we're coming back. John Bolton, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, joins us. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Did you know that right now, some retail banks around the country are allowing people to exchange ordinary paper dollars for real hold-in-your-hand silver? That's right. You can walk into almost any ordinary bank in the U.S. Then, after a short and free transaction, they might hand you a fistful of silver that's worth $50, maybe $100 or more.
Anybody can do it. That's what amazed me. It doesn't take much to go in there and walk out with some silver.
It's part of a weird transaction that very few people know about, but anyone can try this. You don't even need an account with the bank. A former Wall Street professional posted a free video online showing exactly how to do it. Just go to www.retirementsilver35.com and check it out. Keep in mind, this silver is disappearing fast. Over 2 million people have watched this video already. So check it out for free right now before the silver is all gone. Again, just go to retirementsilver35.com to watch the free video which details this exciting silver loophole.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. President Obama has invited congressional leaders over to the White House for a meeting today, but Republicans and Democrats still seem to be a long way apart on an agreement for a funding bill to get the government up and running again in Washington. People are starting to feel the impact of the shutdown all across the country. Certain welfare programs like nutritional assistance for kids and single mothers is not available, and tens of thousands of federal workers don't know when they'll see their next paychecks. National parks are closed to tourists. Joe McCrane brought his family to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. The plane he flew during World War II is displayed inside, behind locked gates.
That was very, very important to see where he sat and what he did. Oh, I'm sorry, I simply can't say anymore.
Meanwhile, a group of moderate Republicans says it's time to pass a funding bill even without provisions to weaken the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Still, leading Republicans say the shutdown alone may not bring a solution.
Most budget agreements in the past have always involved debt limit increases. That's what we think will be the forcing action to bring us, the two parties, together.
Economists, however, say that the economy is losing $300 million every single day. The government remains closed. And the airport in Jacksonville, Florida was shut down for several hours after police discovered two suspicious devices. An airport spokesman says they found one device in a parking garage, another inside the terminal. All flights in and out of the airport were stopped and passengers were evacuated from the terminal. The bomb squad was called in and they removed what was called a, quote, destructive device. Police have also arrested one man they say is responsible for placing those items at the airport. The investigation, though, continues. And international inspectors continue their work in Syria following international outrage over a deadly chemical weapons attack on civilians near Damascus in April. Inspectors have roughly 9 months to complete their mission, which calls for finding, dismantling, and eliminating President Assad's estimated 1,000-ton chemical weapons arsenal. That tough deadline has been endorsed by a UN Security Council resolution that calls for the stockpile to be scrapped by mid-2014. And during the last day of the UN General Assembly in New York, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed Iran's President Hassan Rouhani as a, quote, loyal servant of the Islamic hardline regime and said he is no different from his predecessor, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad.
The only difference between them is this. Ahmadinejad was a wolf in wolf's clothing. Rouhani is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Netanyahu also reiterated that Israel has the right to defend itself and strike Iran's nuclear facilities if it deems the country was close to producing nuclear weapons. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, Senator Orrin Hatch joins us for an exclusive interview. Plus, writer Tom Clancy dead at 66, what authorities are saying about his cause of death.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5-ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
And welcome back. Popular writer Tom Clancy has died, according to several media reports. Clancy, who sold millions of copies of his spy and military-focused novels like Clear and Present Danger and Hunt for Red October, also saw many of his stories turned into successful Hollywood movies, some even into video games. Clancy was 66 years old. Authorities say they don't yet know a cause of death. And during a Newsmax exclusive, we talk with Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah. Senate Democrats are taking a lot of heat from Republicans for failing to compromise during the government shutdown. But Hatch also blames President Obama, who he says, unlike other presidents, has been unwilling to compromise with Congress.
You can't get the president to engage either. Reagan did. George Herbert Walker Bush did. Clinton would consult with us. We can't get this president to do it.
And that's going to do it for your Newsmax Now update for October 2nd. I'm John Bachman. Remember, for more exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax TV and Newsmax.com. Take care.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. Coming up in just a few minutes from now, we'll be joined by our friend Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Bottom of the hour, General Paul E. Vallely will join us, just back from Egypt. This guy goes into the line of fire where the action is, gets the facts, comes back. We'll talk to him about Egypt. We'll talk to him about Syria, and I'm sure he might want to weigh in on Iran. But I want you to hear something. Jimmy Kimmel of Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC late night. He took a camera crew out to the street, and very interesting. He asked people, which do you like better, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act? And most of the people, if not all the people that I saw that they presented, didn't like Obamacare, but liked the Affordable Care Act, which speaks volumes to me about Obama, the label Obama. But, of course, it's the same thing. There's no difference. It just goes by two different names. It was passed as the Affordable Care Act. That's what historically it's called. But they call it Obamacare. Sometimes Obama has called it Obamacare. So it's the same thing. Keep that in mind. But here's our educated public, ladies and gentlemen. Here's cut number 50.
We're talking about health care today, and which plan do you support, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
The Affordable Care Act.
And what is it about Obamacare that you do not like?
I just think that there's a lot of holes in it, and it needs to be revamped. I think hasn't been thought out.
You think the Affordable Care Act is a better plan than Obamacare?
Better, but I'm not happy with that either.
What do you agree with, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I'm more towards the Affordable Care Act, but I'm also very sympathetic for people that don't have the ability to have proper medical insurance.
So the Affordable Health Care Act is still a better option than Obamacare?
Yes.
And why do you not agree with the Affordable Care Act?
Well, I think it's not really available for all.
So the Affordable Care Act is more affordable than Obamacare?
Just the name says it all.
Just the name says it all. All right, we're not finished. Here's cut number 51.
Do you agree with the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare?
The affordable.
And why do you prefer the Affordable Care Act over Obamacare?
I just don't agree with the whole Obamacare policy thing that's going on. I just don't agree with it.
And do you believe that an informed citizenry is essential to a democracy?
Yes.
Very, very funny. A little later on, we're going to play you both a female reporter from CNN and from MSNBC tried to log on to the Obamacare, sign-up website in different states. Couldn't do it. And not only that, Obama, can we get, if it's possible, can we get cut number, let me see, I'll get it. I know I'll get it. It's Barack Obama. And it's cut number 49. No. It's, let's see, roll out. There have been millions of times. No, this isn't it. All right, anyway, he was comparing it to Apple. Apple rolls out a new product. There are glitches. Really? They had 3 years to get the online sites ready for this. They failed in state after state after state. People couldn't do it. And they claim it's because, excuse me, battling a cold. Hold on. And eating almonds during the break. That does not make for a good combination. Anyway, so they claim, 5 million people logged on. Well, much more than we expected. You know how many people to the visitors to the Connecticut Healthcare Exchange signed up? 1%. Oh, they have plenty of visitors. But they're not putting out nationally what percentage of people have signed up. No figures available from the White House. Believe me, if it was 20%, 15%, 25, 30%, you would know. Oh, you would know. We would know. But they're not telling. So maybe it's like it is in Connecticut, 1%. Maybe it's less. Who knows? They won't tell us. We're coming back with John Bolton on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes. A special website has been created just for you. At the free website 99reverse.com, we reveal the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. People who have followed this plan, exactly as found at 99reverse.com, have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's astounded approval. Now you can take this natural, safe, and drug-free approach to reversing diabetes. You won't get this advice anywhere else. At 99reverse.com, we reveal 3 common doctor recommendations about diabetes and why they are horribly wrong. Plus, you get 3 specific actions to take right now today that get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Go right now to 99reverse.com. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now while this revolutionary video is still available online for free. People who have followed this plan have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medication. That's 99reverse.com. 99reverse.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting.
Who is LigNet?
LigNet staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff.
What is LigNet's mission?
Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events.
What are the benefits of joining LigNet?
There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com/radio.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Rouhani is a wolf in sheep's clothing. A wolf who thinks he can pull the wool over the eyes of the international community. Well, like everyone else, I wish we could believe Rouhani's words. But we must focus on Iran's actions. And it's the brazen contrast, this extraordinary contradiction between Rouhani's words and Iran's actions that is so startling.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, yesterday at the United Nations. Prior to that, he listed a whole bunch of things that the president of Iran, under a different title, was either involved in or certainly knew about, including the slaughter at the Jewish Center in Buenos Aires and the Khobar Towers. Joining us now to talk about all this and much more is our friend, former ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador John Bolton, Fox News contributor. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, Steve. How are you? Glad to be with you.
Well, it's always our pleasure and honor, sir. Okay, so there he was at the United Nations, your old stomping grounds, telling it like it is, basically tearing apart Barack Obama's new buddy.
Right. It's a very difficult task for Prime Minister Netanyahu. He's trying to warn the world that this charm offensive, as everybody calls it, from the new Iranian leader is a complete fraud. It's a propaganda effort. There's no distinction between Iranian moderates and hardliners when it comes to their nuclear weapons program. They're all agreed on that. The only distinction is that the moderates have a much better public relations sense, and they know that it's not helpful to their own cause to be demanding that Israel be thrown into the sea and having their picture taken walking among the centrifuges at Natanz. That's something that Ahmadinejad never understood. Rouhani understands it very well. He has used this same playbook before 10 years ago when he was Iran's top nuclear negotiator to buy time and legitimacy for Iran, and he's about to do it again.
Well, you wrote a brilliant editorial in the Wall Street Journal called How Rouhani is Playing Obama. Obama's got to know this. I mean, Obama's got to know everything that Bibi said as far as, how far along the nuclear, program is, how he had his hand in, as I mentioned, the Buenos Aires, Khobar Towers, and other horrific murderous events. I mean, Obama's got to know all this, right?
Well, I think he knows it, but he doesn't care about it. I think Obama fears an Israeli military strike against Iran's nuclear program more than he fears Iran getting nuclear weapons. You know, we know what we know, but let's be clear. There's a lot about Iran's program we don't know, and all of that information that's unknown to us is bad news. But it's even worse from Obama's point of view. He knows things that are not true. And as Reagan said, that's always the most dangerous knowledge. For example, in his statement last Friday after the 15-minute conversation where the President of the United States called Rouhani, the president of a state sponsor of terrorism, to talk to him, and Obama briefed the country and said, we're going to enter into negotiations. Now, this will be the 11th year of negotiations with the Iranians, and there are reasons to be encouraged, he said, because after all, the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khatami, has issued a fatwa against nuclear weapons. Now, the president said that without qualification, with no caveats at all. And it's been several years now, as people have pointed out again and again, nobody has ever seen this document. Nobody has ever seen it in Farsi, much less seen it in English. Now, if it's such a stunning document, if it's a document that should give us reason to believe that Iran is going to negotiate in good faith, can't we at least see the document? Won't somebody tell Iran to print the document somewhere where we can read it? I just think it's embarrassing that the staff of the American president didn't have the sense of place to say, we understand they've claimed there's this fatwa. That would be important if it was true. We'd sure like to see it. That's not what they did. That shows gullibility, naivete, and inexperience. Even after 4.5 years on the job.
And he said that, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Ambassador, he said the same thing earlier in the week, last week, President Obama did when he spoke at the United Nations. He mentioned a fatwa.
Yeah, it has become something that is a talisman of the Ayatollah's good faith. Okay, I don't believe they're good faith for a minute. I think they've been lying to us for 20 years about their nuclear weapons program. But this is a very interesting test. Let's see this famous document. Now, I leave aside a few small points like any fatwa can be reversed by a subsequent fatwa, and there's some doubt whether the Ayatollah Khamenei, under Islamic law, really has authority to issue documents like that. Leave all those technical questions aside. Let's just see the document.
And you bring up such an amazing point, but you know, the president, when you said almost in passing, the president of a terrorist state, a state that sponsors terrorism, that sponsors Hezbollah, that you know just forwards instability, that has threatened the destruction of Israel. And yesterday, John Kerry's saying, I think we can wrap this up in 6 months. Now, what kind of position does this put Israel in? I had Caroline Glick on, and she said it really puts the screws to Israel because they can't do anything while Obama is A, negotiating, or B, works out an agreement that is somehow signed by the U.S. But Netanyahu yesterday said if we have to stand alone, Israel will stand alone. Do you believe it ties Israel's hands?
Well, I think that's certainly what Obama intends. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But honestly, this is why I urged Israel to strike 5 years ago when Bush was still president. Because now you've got somebody in who, as I said a moment ago, I think fears Israeli military action more than an Iranian nuclear weapon. The fact is, the most likely outcome at this point is a very bad agreement that allows Iran to continue enrichment, and they will promise solemnly, just like the fatwa, not to enrich above reactor grade. Not to go to any level closer to weapons-grade uranium. And they will open some of their facilities again to International Atomic Agency inspectors. But they won't open the facilities they're not going to disclose and don't tell us about, some of which might even be in North Korea, where they've cooperated with North Korea on a variety of nuclear and ballistic missile-related projects. So once Iran gets the right to enrich, which the president has already conceded despite 10 years of European efforts, Security Council sanctions, telling Iran to stop enriching. Once they have that capacity legitimized, then they can go to weaponization at a time and a place and a manner entirely their choosing.
We're talking to former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Sir, you know, you've talked about and you running for president, and so I want to ask you about what we're witnessing here in Washington tonight, or should I say in a couple of hours from now. The president will finally meet with congressional leaders in an effort to I don't know what, in an effort. He might just tell them I'm not negotiating, but he's finally going to meet with them. You know probably about this World War II veterans a memorial where World War II veterans on an honor flight basically tore down the barricades, and we're getting yesterday in order to they were there, they flew in from other parts of the country, and they weren't going to be denied even though the government shut down and closed that memorial along with others. We're getting reports that it was the Office of White House Office of Management and Budget that ordered the closing of the World War II memorial. I mean, I can't think of anything lower to try to make a point.
The administration is being entirely cynical about this. It's trying to make the effect of the limited shutdown as visible and seemingly as dire as they can. For anybody who's ever been in Washington and walked near the World War II memorial, it's open 24/7. They had to go out of their way to put those fences around it and the yellow police line. And it's designed to have the effect of saying, oh, these poor World War II veterans who quite rightly should have been allowed to see the memorial. If the Park Service had not put the barriers up, they just could have walked right up to it.
Yeah.
So I think this is an effort because the administration knows the media will be entirely sympathetic to their point of view to try and use this for political advantage. It's cynical. I think it's unfortunate we're in this. But you know, the Republicans now have an obligation to explain to people that it's really the president's intransigence that has brought us to this point.
I got one more silly question, and it's silly because James Clapper, testifying today before the Senate, suggested that with the government shutdown, some U.S. spies might switch allegiance. In other words, if they're, I can't even believe he addressed this, but if they're spying on Russia, they might, you know, be tempted to take Russian money because they're not going to get paid from the U.S. government. I mean, is this as bizarre as it gets?
Well, that's ridiculous. You know, the United States State Department still has money to run. Now, if that is considered an essential function of government, I would think paying our spies is also an essential function. But it's part of this plan. Let's do the worst we can. Let's cause the maximum amount of pain to make the point. It's not how do we most prudently manage the government, which is what responsible adults should be doing. It's how do we maximize the political advantage? That's irresponsible.
All right, Mr. Ambassador, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks again for having me.
My pleasure. That's Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Yeah, I mean, I'm reading from FoxNews.com. Could Russia or Iran exploit the Washington budget impasse to recruit American spies? Intel chief suggests U.S. spies might defect over the budget impasse. So you know what Ted Cruz has done? Ted Cruz says, okay, let's pass a separate bill. If they're not funding this out of necessity, saying that it's, as the ambassador just alluded to, that it's vital, then let's pass a bill that funds this, that funds the our intelligence community. But, of course, they've tried that with Veterans Affairs. The House did. They've tried that with the Parks and Recreation Department, the National Park Services, and the Democrats in the House voted it down. And the president even threatened to veto it if it passed the House and Senate. So I don't know what kind of games they're playing, but they are. I agree with John Bolton. They're trying to make it as much pain as possible, make it appear as painful as possible, playing this propaganda game. Boy, they were hoping the market would go down 500 points, weren't they? Weren't they? Chuck Todd said in so many words, not so many words, but said they're hoping for help from the markets. Well, they haven't gotten the kind of help they were looking for. All right. 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. I want to hear from you folks right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you worried about not having enough money to retire? Finally, there's a retirement solution designed to address the damage that the government spending policies and the Federal Reserve have inflicted on the value of the dollar. Introducing the Heritage Advantage IRA, the new gold and silver-backed retirement account from Heritage Gold Group. Don't let the declining value of the dollar put your retirement in jeopardy. The Heritage Advantage IRA puts retirement savers back in control with physical gold and silver combined with the tax advantages of an IRA. Call 855-GOLD-IRA to request your free, no-obligation Heritage Advantage IRA kit. Inside, you'll find information about how to buy physical gold and silver with your existing IRA or 401k. No additional investment required. Call 855-GOLD-IRA for your free Advantage IRA kit. Don't wait. Plans for new regulations may eliminate rules allowing you to buy gold and silver with your existing IRA or 401k. Call 855-GOLD-IRA. That's 855-465-3472.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. Really? They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Fascinating conversation with John Bolton, and equally as fascinating with another good friend of mine and yours. And we welcome back General Paul E. Vallely, of course, U.S. Army retired, founder of Stand Up America, the website standupamericaus.org. Hello, General.
Hello, Steve. I just returned to my bunker in Montana. I just got home.
I know. That's why I'm calling you, because I know you just got back from Egypt.
I did. I got back Monday from Cairo and went directly to Washington, D.C., and we had our press conference yesterday morning at the National Press Club, the same day the government was shutting down.
Yes. So how'd that work?
It was fine. Everybody showed up. We almost didn't even miss the government being shut down. That was right in the heart of Washington, D.C.
So the National Press Club stays open. Well, because that's not government run. That's a private organization. Yeah, but yeah. What did you think when you saw? And I'm sure by now you have seen, as I talked about with John Bolton, the honor flights for the World War II vets and what they had to go through yesterday.
I thought it was very interesting, and I handed to those that said, these parks and memorials belong to the American people. And the fact that they would say, we have to have access and we don't need you standing and putting up barriers and barricades to us. So I thought it was very brave, and it shows America standing up to the bureaucracy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so first of all, I can't even fathom going to Cairo because I just can't imagine, that it's safe. But then again, you fly into, or not fly into, but you go to Syria, you go to Turkey, so you have no fear, unlike me. So what did you learn on this mission to Syria, to Egypt?
To Egypt, it was an incredible 3 days. The agenda for our private delegation was superb. We met with the Chamber of Commerce for Egypt, the senior corporate guys. We got a good understanding of the commerce situation there in the economy. We met with 20-year-olds who were part of the protest of the new government coming in and supportive of that. 30-year-olds. Had 2 hours with General al-Sisi, a wonderful guy, and he described the whole chain of events that led to the change of government. We also led to a very distinguished gentleman who's putting their new constitution together, went over that with him. But it was a wonderful, enlightening experience to get over there, Steve, and learn the truth about what was really happening in Egypt. The bottom line is they are so upset with the American government supporting the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda over there. They can't believe after 45 years of a good alliance that we would stop their modernization program for their military that is absolutely critical in the Sinai now, protecting the Suez Canal. So there's a lot of different factions of the whole situation there that has not been understood or not properly publicized in the Western press. So it was very enlightening.
Well, yes, and you're enlightening in your description of it. Now, when you say, the administration, of course, taking the side, although they said they take no sides, taking the side of the Muslim Brotherhood must be pretty ticked off because, as far as I know from what I've read, the Muslim Brotherhood has been outlawed in Egypt once again, correct?
Well, they're moving towards that. Part of the Constitution is exclusivity or inclusiveness. Do we accept the Muslim Brotherhood into the new government as a political party? And the bottom line is that the Muslim Brotherhood, and the reason they were basically thrown out by the Egyptian people, some 33 million who stood up and said, we are not going to go down the road of the Muslim Brotherhood. The fact that they, for example, burned some 86 Coptic churches over there. They started instilling Sharia-type law. The government basically gave Morsi 30 days on a referendum that he needed to get to the Egyptian people and say, okay, I understand what you want. He refused to do that, and it looked like a looming civil war, and that's why General Sisi and the armed forces had to step in and prevent a civil war from happening, which they did, and create stability.
So where do we go from here? Is the eventual path to outlaw the Brotherhood again? How will that fly with? Do you believe with American intentions and American pressure? And how does Obama's latest opening up a dialogue with the president of as John Bolton said, the president of a terrorist nation? And John Kerry saying, hey, we could have a deal wrapped up in 6 months. How does that all play into anything regarding Egypt?
Well, the statesmen, the civilian members of the new government, as well as General Sisi and his staff, first of all, Jane Patterson, the ambassador, did stand up and did meet only with the Muslim Brotherhood, refused to meet with General Sisi and the others. So the ambassador works for the president. So Obama and the White House were supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. There is no doubt about that. So with the formation of the new government, the Constitution, they'll either exclude the Muslim Brotherhood. And what I wanted to point out about the Muslim Brotherhood, to be accepted into a democratic club, so to speak, you have to be a political party. The Muslim Brotherhood has three legs to it. Number one, a political agenda. Number two, a militant arm of Al-Qaeda and others that they support and used not only in the Sinai, but in the city of Cairo. And then the third leg of that is the international spread of the global caliphate by the Muslim Brotherhood. And so this is what's perplexing, and they would like to include the Muslim Brotherhood, but they will have to shake off those other two legs, which they're not going to do. So I don't think they'll be included in the new government.
Okay, well, that's a good thing to hear. Let's shift gears to Syria just a little bit. And, of course, you've been instrumental in providing such great insight and getting information out from Syria to the public, information that the rest of the media has no interest in letting us in on. But here we are in a situation where the United Nations has approved a plan, and inspectors are now going on the ground in Syria, and they're supposedly going to find all the chemical weapons that they're going to be shown by Assad, and he is going to show them everything he has, and they're going to figure out how to get rid of them, and then we're all going to smoke kumbaya cigars, and I mean it's like a fairy tale. It's like I don't know how more naive the stories could get. Here, Obama thinks that the president of Iran is going to make peace with him. He's willing to ignore all the blood on his hands, all the terrorism on his hands. And here in Syria, we gave the guy a month to hide everything, but he didn't hide anything. So we're going to take care of that problem too. It's insane.
Well, I'd like to have heard what my friend John Bolton said, but I can tell you in Egypt, when I talked to the general staff down there, that the Muslim Brotherhood shifting their operations up to Syria to a big degree, training in southern Libya, shipment of arms, shipment of Al-Qaeda up to Syria, as well as General Suleiman from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard shipping in across Iraq into Syria, now trying to strengthen the Al-Qaeda forces up there. At the same time, you have a government that is just being laughed at, not only by the Iranians, but by the Russians. They are playing us like a fiddle, and guess who's winning?
Yeah, well,
so, like you said, it's just an illusion to think that the Iranians and Assad and the Russians are going to lie down on this. They'll manipulate. They'll do what they intended to do, and that's to keep Assad in power. Now he's killed over 100,000 of his own people.
Yeah, no doubt about that. General, as always, a great pleasure. Folks, check out the website for Stand Up America, standupamericaus.org. General Paulie Vallely, and always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. All right, folks. Just crazy times, and we'll have to see how all that shakes out. Okay, the president has given an interview to CNBC. And among other things, he's talking about how he's bent over backwards. Since I become president, I bent over backwards to talk to John Boehner and the Republicans. Really? That's amazing. Well, they're going to meet face-to-face in about 48 minutes from now, although the president tells CNBC, as Jay Carney told the world earlier today, that there's no negotiation to be had. If the Congress, if Boehner puts a clean CR, continuing resolution, for a vote and it passes, then they'll talk to John Boehner. But nothing. It's going to be nothing. This president will not budge. This president will not negotiate. David Gergen yesterday said the president has to sit down and talk. I mean, people even on the left are saying, what's wrong with this man? Why will he not talk? How does he feel that he doesn't have to negotiate when he himself voted against raising the debt ceiling? He voted as a senator against raising the debt ceiling. And now he himself says when it comes to the debt ceiling, you can't vote against raising the debt ceiling. Yeah, that's automatic. It's your job. You got to do it. He voted against it. See, nothing applies to him. Every president preceding him during all the other shutdowns has negotiated. They've even negotiated with their own party. Jimmy Carter, when it was Robert Byrd in the Senate and Tip O'Neill in the House, he negotiated with them. They closed down the government several times under Jimmy Carter. Ronald Reagan negotiated. Bill Clinton negotiated. But this guy, well, I don't want anything, so why should I negotiate? The rules don't apply to him. The Constitution doesn't apply to him. It's a very serious state of affairs we have here, folks. Look beneath the surface. Scratch it. Well, don't scratch it. Scratch it and keep scratching it. Dig. Don't scratch the surface. Dig beneath the surface. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, folks, we're going to come back. Some very interesting sound for you to hear right here. Get it? H-E-A-R. Right. H-E-R-E. I like to play those little games. Shows that I'm well educated. Here on the Steve Ball. By the way, 855-777-9660 on day 2 of my antibiotic regimen on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Did you know that right now, some retail banks around the country are allowing people to exchange ordinary paper dollars for real hold-in-your-hand silver? That's right. You can walk into almost any ordinary bank in the U.S. Then, after a short and free transaction, they might hand you a fistful of silver that's worth $50, maybe $100 or more.
Anybody can do it. That's what amazed me. It doesn't take much to go in there and walk out with some silver.
It's part of a weird transaction that very few people know about, but anyone can try this. You don't even need an account with the bank. A former Wall Street professional posted a free video online showing exactly how to do it. Just go to www.retirementsilver35.com and check it out. Keep in mind, this silver is disappearing fast. Over 2 million people have watched this video already. So check it out for free right now before the silver is all gone. Again, just go to retirementsilver35.com to watch the free video which details this exciting silver loophole.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks. And I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, that would be me welcoming you back to the Steve Malzberg Show, 855-777-9660. Okay, I want you to hear a report from Fox News. This is from earlier in the week or late last week, and it's a report about a school that was playing a video for kids, and then they had to apologize profusely after they played this video. And it's even amazing that this video exists, let alone that it could be played for school kids in school. And I fear that this is not the only time this has happened. I fear this is not the only school that this has happened in. Probably we don't know about the others, but I want you to give a listen to cut 24.
You may have seen this video before. It's called I Pledge. It was developed by Oprah Winfrey's production company, Harpo, back in 2009 after President Obama was elected. But at one point in the 4-minute video, for about 20 seconds, it sort of takes a turn. Some would say to the left. And for the Hudson School District and a lot of parents, it feels like it runs right off the tracks.
The video was shown during a school-wide assembly at Hudson Middle School. Part of the activities were something called Peace One Day.
I pledge.
I pledge to smile more.
And for the most part, it's hard to argue with the message. Hollywood stars like Ashton Kutcher pledging to do good deeds in their community.
I know you got a pledge. What's your pledge?
What do you think so far?
I like it. I do too.
Then you get to this.
I pledge to be of service to Barack Obama.
I didn't see that one. And this.
I pledge to be a servant to our president.
Folks, is this Nazi Germany? The first guy says, I pledge to, when he said Barack, he kissed one bicep, and then Obama, he kissed his other bicep. I don't know what that means. He had like chain links tattooed around his bicep. He kissed each one. Maybe there's some significance to that I'm not hip enough to be aware of. And then I believe that was Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore. I think that was Demi Moore with him. Maybe not. That woman looked young, but she looked like Demi Moore. I pledge I pledge to serve our president? Serve our president? I don't care who he is or she. My kid's not pledging to serve. Our president serves us. What is wrong here? Hey, Oprah, what the heck are you doing, Oprah? And what is that school doing? Well, there were apologies. Here's cut number 26. Oh, actually, it's cut number 25. Sorry.
I pledge to be of service to Barack Obama.
I pledge to be a servant to our president.
Yeah, okay. By the way, that's the same thing we just heard. A servant. To be a servant. Yeah, okay. By the way, that's the same thing we just heard. A servant. To be a servant. A servant. A servant. How about why don't you just say, and this has nothing to do with race, how about a slave? Let's all be a slave to our president. My God. What is this? First of all, how sick is it that this is shown in school? How on earth does Oprah make this? And how out of their minds do these actors and personalities, these Hollywood elitist leftist nutjobs, have to be to say that? They pledge to be a servant to our president? Wow. Could you think they would do that for George Bush? Ha ha ha. Cut number 27. I'm sorry, cut number 26.
The school superintendent wouldn't talk on camera, but issued a long apology, calling the video a mistake, saying it had a political slant and will not be used in the district again. The principal, Dan Koch, apologized directly to the students, saying the video conveyed a message that people serve the presidency, when in fact our elected officials serve the people.
Really? What a concept. Our elected officials serve the people. Let me write that down because wow. Anybody want to weigh in on that one? 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. Now, as you may know, you probably know by now, best-selling author Tom Clancy died at Johns Hopkins University Hospital last night at the age of 66 after a brief illness. And, remember the hunt for Red October? Very ironic that it's, early October. But nonetheless, President Reagan famously said that he couldn't put down the hunt for Red October. And that certainly didn't do any harm to the career of Tom Clancy. And as is pointed out by Tim Graham at Media Research Center and Newsbusters, for liberals, Clancy's name became synonymous with rah-rah patriotism and the military-industrial complex and, everything that the left hates. And there was a Newsweek, that Newsweek.com in 2003, Brent Baker, actually Brian Breaker, asked if patriotism in the U.S. creates hostility abroad, and Clancy shot back that the most arrogant people in America work at the largest newspapers. Newsweek said, you've got to be proud. You said you got to be proud to be an American. Do you ever worry about patriotism or national pride being mistaken for hubris? And Clancy laughs and says, the people with the most hubris in America work at the New York Times and the Washington Post. The New York Times really thinks their pages are holy. They're a newspaper. It's not holy. They make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But hubris, that's a Greek word from a long time ago. That's really a disease of kings and princes. And just a great writer. And, of course, his works centered around political intrigue. And he said that he never gave away any national secrets in his writings, in his works, and he will be sorely missed and too young to die in this day and age at the age of 66. No word on what the illness was. 17 New York Times bestsellers. 17. Count it, illness was 17 New York Times bestsellers. 17. Count away from the president's meeting at the White House with congressional leaders. We'll keep you posted on it on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes. A special website has been created just for you. At the free website 99reverse.com, we reveal the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. People who have followed this plan, exactly as found at 99reverse.com, have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's astounded approval. Now you can take this natural, safe, and drug-free approach to reversing diabetes. You won't get this advice anywhere else. At 99reverse.com, we reveal 3 common doctor recommendations about diabetes and why they are horribly wrong. Plus, you get 3 specific actions to take right now today that get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Go right now to 99reverse.com. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now while this revolutionary video is still available online for free. People who have followed this plan have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medication. That's 99reverse.com. 99reverse.com.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. President Obama has invited congressional leaders over to the White House for a meeting today, but Republicans and Democrats still seem to be a long way apart on an agreement for a funding bill to get the government up and running again in Washington. People are starting to feel the impact of the shutdown all across the country. Certain welfare programs like nutritional assistance for kids and single mothers is not available, and tens of thousands of federal workers don't know when they'll see their next paychecks. National parks are closed to tourists. Joe McCrane brought his family to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. The plane he flew during World War II is displayed inside, behind locked gates.
That was very, very important. See where he sat, what he did. Oh, I'm sorry, I simply can't say anymore.
Meanwhile, a group of moderate Republicans says it's time to pass a funding bill even without provisions to weaken the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Still, leading Republicans say the shutdown alone may not bring a solution.
Most budget agreements in the past have always involved debt limit increases. That's what we think will be the forcing action to bring us, the two parties, together.
Economists, however, say that the economy is losing $300 million every single day. The government remains closed. And the airport in Jacksonville, Florida was shut down for several hours after police discovered 2 suspicious devices. An airport spokesman says they found one device in a parking garage, another inside the terminal. All flights in and out of the airport were stopped and passengers were evacuated from the terminal. The bomb squad was called in and they removed what was called a, quote, destructive device. Police have also arrested one man they say is responsible for placing those items at the airport. The investigation, though, continues. And international inspectors continue their work in Syria following international outrage over a deadly chemical weapons attack on civilians near Damascus in April. Inspectors have roughly 9 months to complete their mission, which calls for finding, dismantling, and eliminating President Assad's estimated 1,000-ton chemical weapons arsenal. That tough deadline has been endorsed by a UN Security Council resolution that calls for the stockpile to be scrapped by mid-2014. And during the last day of the UN General Assembly in New York, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed Iran's President Hassan Rouhani as a, quote, loyal servant of the Islamic hardline regime and said he is no different from his predecessor, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad.
The only difference between them is this. Ahmadinejad was a wolf in wolf's clothing, Rouhani is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Netanyahu also reiterated that Israel has the right to defend itself and strike Iran's nuclear facilities if it deems the country was close to producing nuclear weapons. And coming up next on our Newsmax Now update, Senator Orrin Hatch joins us for an exclusive interview. Plus, writer Tom Clancy dead at 66, what authorities are saying about his cause of death.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a... If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance, consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
And welcome back. Popular writer Tom Clancy has died, according to several media reports. Clancy, who sold millions of copies of his spy and military-focused novels like Clear and Present Danger, and Clancy, who sold millions of copies of his spy and military-focused novels like Clear and Present Danger and Games. Clancy was 66 years old. Authorities say they don't yet know a cause of death. And during a Newsmax exclusive, we talk with Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah. Senate Democrats are taking a lot of heat from Republicans for failing to compromise during the government shutdown. But Hatch also blames President Obama, who he says, unlike other presidents, has been unwilling to compromise with Congress.
You can't get the president to engage either. Reagan did. George Herbert Walker Bush did. Clinton would consult with us. We can't get this president to do it.
And that's going to do it for your Newsmax Now update for October 2nd. I'm John Bachman. Remember, for more exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax TV and Newsmax.com. Take care.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, hour number 3 of the big Steve Malzberg Show. And we are just, if it starts on time, we are about 23 and a half minutes away from the meeting at the White House between congressional leaders and President Obama, who prefaced this meeting with a CNBC interview where he made it very clear and very plain that he's not negotiating, that he will not give anything in exchange for running the government, opening it up, or for raising the debt ceiling. So what they're going to do there is beyond me. But maybe we could get some insight from our friend, Susan Ferrecchio. She's the chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. We had your senior political analyst, Mr. Barone, here in studio earlier today, Susan.
Oh, that had to be a terrific interview. He's very insightful. He's brilliant.
You could ask him what the likelihood is of an area in a congressional district somewhere in the Midwest of that turning from red to blue or blue to red, and He'll tell you exactly how many people are going to vote. Anyway,
That's
but
right, and he can tell you what happened there in 1975. So
yep, he's an amazing guy. It was good to see him here in person today. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we could expect from this meeting.
I would gander at this point, take a gander and say that you're not going to see a lot happening because Republicans, what's important to do is take it all in perspective right now. Right now on the House floor, Republicans are pushing through individual kind of mini spending bills that they say can fund the government, has nothing to do with health care law, but will open some of the things that the Democrats are fretting over being closed.
Well, are they? Let me interrupt as you go along. Are they succeeding? Because yesterday they tried the Troika. One would fund veterans benefits and veteran services. One would have funded something within D.C., and one would have opened the national parks and monuments. And they couldn't get a 2/3 vote, and the Democrats voted it down in effect.
Right, and so they're taking it up today where they'll just need a majority vote.
Oh, okay.
It'll all go through because Republicans have a majority, but I'll say this. One of the bills is to cover the government of the District of Columbia. That just went through by voice vote, which means not one Democrat stood up to protest it. So that's sending a message right there. They've cleared a bill without any Democratic protest. So in some ways, Republicans are kind of marching along here and getting things done, and I think it will embolden them to hold their ground. However, I will say that there's a group of Republicans who are beginning to really worry about whether this is a good idea, and maybe they should just go ahead and pass a short-term measure that does not touch Obamacare so they can not be blamed for this ongoing shutdown.
Well, is this the same? I'm sorry to interrupt, but is this the same group, the so-called Peter King group, as yesterday, and is it growing?
Yes, and there are additional members. I think the last report I saw was 15 to 17 members. I would need to see exactly how they're voting. Now, we'll see later when the individual bills get voted on if you're going to have any kind of protest from these moderates. It's kind of a hard time for them because what they're doing is putting legislation on the floor to fund the government. So they're not going to vote against that, right? But apparently they've been having meetings, and if the pressure builds, it could reverse what the element who wants to attach Obamacare to the spending bills. It could reverse what they're trying to accomplish. So where does that take us? Takes us to this White House meeting where on the one hand you have the president inviting the speaker to come talk, and then on the other hand you have Jay Carney saying 2 hours later at a White House briefing that they're not going to negotiate until they reopen the government.
And basically that's what the president said to CNBC in an interview that aired after the market closed. And I want you to hear this, because, Harry Reid is following in lockstep with the president. And Dana Bash asked him a question about funding the NIA, which would, I think it's the NIA or maybe NIH. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't read my own writing. NIH. That's okay. Because he had talked about kids with cancer. So the Congress, basically anything that the president or Harry Reid brings up of importance, they say, okay, let's pass a bill to fund it. So Dana Bash says, would you pass a bill in the Senate, if it clears the House, to fund the NIH, because you just talked about clinical trials on kids with cancer, and you got it. This is an amazing exchange or amazing answer. Let's listen. It's a little long, but here we go.
Children with cancer unable to go to clinical trials. The House is presumably going to pass a bill that funds at least the NIH. Given what you said, will you at least pass that? And if not, aren't you playing the same political games that Republicans are?
Listen, Senator Durbin explained that very well. And he did it here, he did it on the floor earlier, as did Senator Schumer. And it's this. What right do they have to pick and choose what part of government is going to be funded? It's obvious what's going on here. You talk about reckless and irresponsible. Wow. What this is all about is Obamacare. They are obsessed. I don't know what other word I can use. They are obsessed with this Obamacare thing. It's working now, and it'll continue to work, and people will love it even more than they do now by far. So they have no right to pick and choose.
But if you can help one child who has cancer, why wouldn't you do it?
Listen.
Because that Head Start Mom really good.
No. Can we continue? I'm sorry.
Children with cancer unable to go to clinical trials.
No, okay.
The House-
We can't pick it up where it was?
People love it even more than they do
All right,
now.
we're having a problem with the cut. Okay, apparently he has no interest in helping one kid. Why would we help one kid with cancer? Was basically his answer. So, I mean, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he was so cavalier. I can't believe he would do that.
Well, underscores the politics of this thing here. People are really looking at this politically. Look, they're putting up barricades in front of the World War II Memorial. They're not letting people go use open-air parks that are not even staffed by Park Service people. They're making a statement. When there's a shutdown, the thing you want, both parties want to do is avoid blame, but try to influence the outcome. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing, and so when you saw a moment of bluntness on the part of Harry Reid saying, why would I want to do that? What he really meant to say is, why would I want to give an inch on this thing? It's not like he's saying, I don't want to help people with cancer. He's saying, why would I want to let the Republicans move 1 foot on 1 inch, 1 foot? That would just, give them a victory. And oftentimes here in Washington, the politicians just get really caught up in this stuff. And they don't care. They put those barricades, they order those barricades up. They order things shut down because they want to inflict pain so that they can influence the outcome.
Like the sequester, right? I mean,
this can drag on and on if they just let the Republicans pass, these mini spending bills. And hey, what's the motive to how will they put the pressure on Republicans to back down on this if they ease up on the stuff that's causing the most angst in the public and turning the shutdown?
By the way, it seems like since 1981. Whenever there's been a government shutdown, the stock market has done well. And today, after a big gain yesterday, the Dow was down 58, the S&P lost 1, the Nasdaq lost 2, or 3. So, I heard Chuck Todd say that he was hoping the markets, or the Obama administration was hoping the markets would help put pressure on the Republicans. This was yesterday, and so far, no dice.
It's shrugging, but the issue may change over time because the thing the markets are really worried about, of course, is the borrowing limit, which is we're right up against it, and it's $16.7 trillion. If we don't raise the borrowing limit, that's when the United States gets on really financially shaky footing, and that's what the markets are watching. So I think that the fact that the Dow dropped 58 points today is probably more to do with their eye on that ball, and that's coming up on October 17th. There's talk of them trying to meld the two fights into one fight. It's all very uncertain. I think a government shutdown now does have people on Wall Street shrugging because its immediate economic impact isn't that great. However, the debt ceiling not being raised, that would cause a big problem in terms of our solvency and our way we're viewed on the world stage financially. So that could change. And again, I heard Dick Durbin say yesterday, he said right to me that, hey, give this thing a few days when people see their retirement accounts affected, and then, you'll see the Republican leadership in the House singing a different tune. That may be true. It hasn't happened yet. It's only been a couple days, and right now Republicans tell me that they feel committed to this, to use the exact words of some people I talked to in Boehner's office. That can change, but for the moment, that's where they are.
All right. So where? I mean, what do you see happening out of this meeting? They come out, and Boehner says, the president said not going to negotiate, and the president comes out maybe tomorrow or later and says, I reiterated what I've said, and this just marches on, right?
It could be, unless he throws in something that they like how about medical device tax, how about. It could be he throws something out there because the president is a little. I get the sense that Democrats are worried. They say they're not. And they look like they're going for the jugular with the Republicans on this. But I also get the sense that they know that they could lose in this as well, and that they're also potentially willing to deal in some ways. You already heard him talk about medical device tax, 2.3%, $30 billion over 10 years. They're willing to potentially strike that out of the health care law. Maybe this language on staff subsidies for health insurance. It's not like they're not willing to go anywhere on this. And the fact that they are willing shows that they know that they have something potentially to lose here, too. That's probably the reason why the president is inviting the speaker there. He wants to show some form of leadership here before the public starts saying, hey, what's our president doing? It's Don't forget, ultimately with a shutdown, everybody hates Congress. Their approval ratings are in the dumpster no matter what day of the week it is. People will say when there's a shutdown, what does the president do? And so I think that's why you have the president inviting them, and that opens the possibility that he may offer something, and besides this rhetoric today. So it's worth listening to find out what happens.
Absolutely. But if I'm the Republicans, I keep harping on the president keeps, this is what the point I would make over and over. The president keeps saying that it's the law of the land, but he changed the law of the land. He unilaterally changed the law, which we don't believe he's allowed to do. He said, okay, you don't have to follow the law yet for a year. You don't have to follow the law yet for a year. And all we're asking is that the entire American public doesn't have to follow the law for a year. We're just doing more of what the president already has done by himself. That's all we're asking for. And I think that's a winning message, but I don't know that they've gotten that out there clearly, because certainly the media isn't telling them that. The media keeps saying they want to defund Obamacare no matter what they put out in there attached to the CR.
That's true, and I think that the president having altered the law weakens his...
Yeah. If anybody would tell the story, it certainly weakens it, but the media won't, and I don't think Boehner and them are doing it good enough. I'll bring it up to Scott Garrett when we talk to him at the bottom of the hour. Hey, listen, Susan, thank you very much, and I just got a call from Mr. Barone, who said that we're giving Susan a raise. She did great. I'm only kidding. Take care. We'll speak to you later. Thank you, Susan. Susan Ferruccio, ladies and gentlemen, chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. All right. So where are we? 855-777-9660. When we come back, we're going to play that bite again. We're going to play the whole bite. That was my fault. I cut it off too soon. I want you to hear Harry Reid's entire answer to Dana Bash of CNN saying, if you could save one kid with cancer, if you could treat one kid with cancer, why don't you approve this? And I want you to hear his whole answer. And we will on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you worried about not having enough money to retire? Finally, there's a retirement solution designed to address the damage that the government spending policies and the Federal Reserve have inflicted on the value of the dollar. Introducing the Heritage Advantage IRA, the new gold and silver-backed retirement account from Heritage Gold Group. Don't let the declining value of the dollar put your retirement in jeopardy. The Heritage Advantage IRA puts retirement savers back in control with physical gold and silver combined with the tax advantages of an IRA. Call 855-GOLD-IRA to request your free, no-obligation Heritage Advantage IRA kit. Inside, you'll find information about how to buy physical gold and silver with your existing IRA or 401k. No additional investment required. Call 855-GOLD-IRA for your free Advantage IRA kit. Don't wait. Plans for new regulations may eliminate rules allowing you to buy gold and silver with your existing IRA or 401k. Call 855-GOLD-IRA. That's 855-465-3472.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast
and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
Well, we have just watching 8 dead and 14 injured in a highway wreck near Knoxville, Tennessee. Wow. Oh my God, the devastation. It's just like a tractor trailer, huge, jackknifed, and it's a terrible thing to look at. Okay, a tour bus slammed into a truck, actually, is what they're saying. Okay, all right, folks, I want you to hear this exchange. Dana Bash, CNN, Harry Reid, helping kids with cancer. Here it is.
Children with cancer unable to go to clinical trials. The House is presumably going to pass a bill that funds at least the NIH. Given what you said, will you at least pass that? And if not, aren't you playing the same political games that Republicans are?
Listen, Senator Durbin explained that very well. And he did it here, he did it on the floor earlier, as did Senator Schumer. And it's this. What right do they have to pick and choose what part of government is going to be funded? It's obvious what's going on here. You talk about reckless and irresponsible. Wow. What this is all about is Obamacare. They are obsessed. I don't know what other word I can use. They are obsessed with this Obamacare thing. It's working now, and it'll continue to work, and people will love it even more than they do now by far. So they have no right to pick and choose.
But if you can help one child who has cancer, why wouldn't you do it?
Listen.
Because that Head Start model really good.
Why pick one against the other?
Why would we want to do that? I have 1,100 people at Nellis Air Force Base that are sitting home. They have a few problems of their own. This is to have someone of your intelligence suggest such a thing. Maybe means you're irresponsible and reckless. Yes.
Wow. Why would we want to do that? But if you could help even one kid with cancer, why wouldn't you? Why would we want to do that? And Schumer, who, don't get me started with Schumer. Why should they pick and choose? What does that mean? She asked about one kid with cancer. If you could help one kid with cancer, why would we want to do that? I have 1,100 people sitting at home at an Air Force base, and they have problems too. Excuse me? Excuse me? Comparing to people who are on furlough, presumably healthy adults, to a kid with cancer? They have problems too? My God. My God. Folks, we're going to play this in its shortened version over and over and over and over in the coming days. Because if this were John Boehner who answered the question that way, or Ted Cruz, Oh my God. It would be the front page and the lead story of every newspaper and newscast in the country. And this guy's not going to get away with this. Why would we want to do that? I have 1,100 people at an Air Force base who are unemployed right now. How do you make that comparison? How cold-hearted and cruel can you be? And how dumb can you be to say that, even if you feel that in your cold-hearted heart? Coming back, Scott Garrett, Congressman, New Jersey, my congressman. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Did you know that right now, some retail banks around the country are allowing people to exchange ordinary paper dollars for real hold-in-your-hand silver? That's right. You can walk into almost any ordinary bank in the U.S. Then, after a short and free transaction, they might hand you a fistful of silver that's worth $50, maybe $100 or more.
Anybody can do it. That's what amazed me. It doesn't take much to go in there and walk out with some silver.
It's part of a weird transaction that very few people know about, but anyone can try this. You don't even need an account with the bank. A former Wall Street professional posted a free video online showing exactly how to do it. Just go to www.retirementsilver35.com and check it out. Keep in mind, this silver is disappearing fast. Over 2 million people have watched this video already. So check it out for free right now before the silver is all gone. Again, just go to retirementsilver35.com to watch the free video which details this exciting silver loophole.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54. With a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the advantage of having one of the greatest congressmen in the House of Representatives as your own congressman is that when you get your own talk show, he will come on with you. And we're proud to welcome back my congressman, Republican from the great state of New Jersey, Scott Garrett. Hello, sir.
It's good to be with you. And if I get a talk show, would you ever come on with me?
Are you kidding? You don't have to ask that.
Oh, there we go. Good.
I'm there, baby. I'm there. Okay, so right now, would you like to be a fly on the wall, or would you like to be in someone's pocket there? If you could shrink yourself, like Honey, I Shrunk the Congressman, and hear what's going on between Obama, Boehner, and Reid, and McConnell, and all that?
I would love to hear it, but I can just anticipate what it's going to be like.
Go ahead.
I anticipate that the president will conduct himself in this private meeting the same way that he has, I understand, conducted himself in other private meetings, is to say this is his position, he's not going to negotiate, and it's about time for the House to do what he wants them to do.
And, yeah, I mean, based on the interview we gave to CNBC about an hour ago, it appears that that's exactly what it's going to be. And Jay Carney said there'll be no negotiation because the president doesn't want anything, so why should he negotiate? I'm kind of dumbfounded here, though, because, you know, and again, if an honest media, and they've brushed over these things, but an honest media would have woke up this morning saying the Democrats in the House refused to send a bill to the Senate which would have funded Veterans Affairs and Veterans Benefits, and also open our national parks and monuments, and would have helped the area known as Washington, D.C. But, of course, what they said was that Republicans failed to pass. So, in other words, it made it sound like Republicans failed, but they didn't even say what it was. They just said amendments. So, you know, that's the media at it again, but that's what the Democrats stopped you guys from passing last night, right?
Right. So we passed them, or no, we put the bills in through a process called suspension, which means you have to get a larger number of bills, a number of votes to pass. And I really did believe that they would pass yesterday because we do need Democrats to vote with us, because I thought, which Democrat, what person would vote no on a bill to open up the government to make sure the veterans get the services that they need that we've all voted for in past years? So I was, you know, shocked to see the Democrats vote no, and I guess I was not shocked to see, as you point out, the press not play it right or report it correctly. Now today we'll be voting once again on these bills
on regular procedure, though, right?
Regular procedure. Yeah. You just need, 51%, or 218 basically, to pass. So we have Republicans, and we'll have Republican votes to pass it. We're all together on this. We all believe that the veterans should be taken care of, the military should be taken care of, the parks should be open. Heck, you remember what our original position was. The entire government should be funded at the CR levels, everything you can think of, except for this real problem area, which is Obamacare.
Right, and Congressman, Obama keeps saying, and the media parrots it like parrots, I guess. It keeps saying, it's one small radical faction of one party and one chair. But you guys are voting almost in unison on these bills. You're all sticking together with few exceptions. It might be increasing on the other end. I don't know. Maybe you could tell me. But also Democrats have voted on some of the CRs that you've sent over to the Senate. So it's not one small faction of one party. When the votes are taken, you're all together.
We are. You're right. We are bipartisan in this. We're bipartisan that we want to get the bills done. And on the bills that I just talked about, let me think. There was about 30 Democrats who joined us last night. Perhaps the Democrats who had the toughest district, maybe, who supported the idea of opening the parks, paying for the vets, and so on and so forth. And even on some of these earlier bills. So it's not a narrow faction. It's a narrow faction maybe in the White House
right.
that's taking the view that and the view that is taken, and this is another thing that's not reported in the mainstream media, is what happened yesterday and what happened today to our World War II veterans who came down here to visit. I mean, that has been just an outrage. The media distorts it, but that has been an outrage.
Yeah, and I know what happened yesterday when they tried and they had to take the barricades down. The barricades were put up, according to all reports, by the order of the Office of Management and Budget of the White House. John Bolton told me earlier that thing's open 24 hours. There's never any barricades up there. And the media reported, at least NBC did, that it was a bipartisan group of Congress people that got it open yesterday and got those people in, those veterans in, those heroes in. But in fact, it was Michelle Bachmann saying, it was a handful of us Republicans. I'm sure if Democrats were here, they would have. But there were no Democrats there. It was not bipartisan. I mean, they just lie.
Right. And it's even worse than that. It's look, I always say, give the guy, maybe the president didn't know about it. Maybe the administration didn't know about it yesterday, right? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, although he doesn't deserve it in this case. So what happens today? Well, it's all there again. So, I mean, if the president really didn't know about the fact that his people, his administration were putting up, yellow police tape around the World War II memorial, around the entire mall, as we call it, that's just the grass area where people go out and throw Frisbees and that sort of thing. Right. If he didn't know about it yesterday, okay, maybe so. But it happened again today.
It did. They put the barricades back up?
They put the stuff there again. And worse than that, one of the members said that they talked to one of the police that were down there, and the police person, I think it was a woman, said, yeah, I was furloughed. I've been called back, so we have additional police here today.
Wow, that is mind-boggling. We're talking to Congressman Scott Garrett here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Republican, New Jersey. I want you to hear something. Sure. This is an exchange. It's the end of an exchange. Dana Bash of CNN, of all people, she's talking to Harry Reid. He's at a press conference earlier today, a few hours ago, and she says, you guys talked about how, there are kids with cancer that can't get clinical trials because the NIH is being shut down. Well, the Republicans, if they pass, they're going to pass a bill that funds the NIH. Would you? And he says no. So she pressed him, and listen. You got to listen to this to believe it. Here it is.
But if you can help one child who has cancer, why wouldn't you do it?
Listen.
Because that Head Start model.
Why pit one against the other?
Why would we want to do that? I have 1,100 people at Nellis Air Force Base that are sitting home. They have a few problems of their own. This is to have someone of your intelligence suggest such a thing. Maybe means you're irresponsible and reckless.
It was irresponsible of her to say, if you could help one kid with cancer, why wouldn't you do it? And he says, why would we want to do that? I have 1,100 people on furlough, as if being on furlough is equivalent to being a kid with cancer. This is insane.
And that if this was a fair media, that would be the story, the headline story in the press tomorrow. Reid says he doesn't care about a kid with cancer. I don't think it's going to be there, but it is insane. This is the normal mantra that we hear from the left. If we can only save one child, don't you want to do it?
Right.
Now when we put that question back to them, hey, I guess all these years, I guess we should have asked that question. Can you save one kid? Who knew that the Democrats would say, no, I really don't care about it. Now in the future, I guess we'll ask them all the time.
Right, and how dare she ask that question? It's irresponsible. How dare you ask it? But you must have been listening, and I know you weren't, because the thing I said leading into the break, we played that entire bite, and I said, if this was John Boehner or Ted Cruz or any Republican, I said every newspaper and every TV news show would lead with it tonight and lead with it tomorrow morning, and you and I think alike, because of course they would.
Right. And Jay Leno or whoever else would be talking about it tonight.
Absolutely.
Saying, I wonder if he has any sick kid or something, like make something joke about it, but it's not going to be any place out there.
All right, finally, let me ask you this, and I don't think that it's a good idea to shut down the debt ceiling, not to raise it. But however, having said that, I think Democrats are starting to see that. The market hasn't tanked yet. Public opinion is, although they blame Republicans more, they blame Democrats a lot. I don't think they counted on that. And if you look at, there's a poll CNN just showed. If the debt ceiling is not raised, is it a good thing or a bad thing? 46% of independents said a good thing. Slightly more said bad. But 46 of independents said good. 52 of Republicans said good. Even 18 of Democrats said good. So it's not like it's 80-20 or 90-10. I think Democrats are starting to realize that, the public is blaming them too.
Well, and so they should, because it takes two to reach a negotiation, and so far we've only had one, and that's the Republicans who've been passing bills, sending them to the Senate, which were all good bills, have gone to die. And so it's about time that this news gets out there, and once the news is out there, the public will see what exactly is happening and what their president is doing to them, what their president is doing to their World War II vets, what their president and what the Senate is doing to children with cancer. I mean, it is terrible, but I'm glad that the information is getting to the public through you and this medium.
Well, all right. So they're going to come out of the meeting with nothing. You guys are going to pass bills tonight. How many do you anticipate, as the president says, piecemeal, which he's vowed to veto, and the Senate says they won't pass? But how many of them you think amendments, different parts of the government to fund, will you pass 5, a dozen, less? What?
No, we'll keep. I think we can keep doing this. And if you were just watching, as I was off the floor. We're doing one right now for the NIH funding, right?
Right.
And the pushback by the Democrats is, well, there's this program and that program and this program that also helps people that are sick and have problems. And our response to that is, you're right. So let's do this one first.
All right, and then we'll do them all. Right. Every time they bring something up, you guys say, let's fund it.
That works for me.
Yeah. All right. Well,
for me. Yeah.
We shall see. Congressman, I always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care. That's Congressman Scott Garrett, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, I'm just looking here. This video on YouTube had 301 views. It's the one we just played you, the Dana Bash. Let's see. It had 3. Now it's up to 977. And it's on Drudge. 977. This should have 900 million views by now. Harry Reid. But you see how I think like Scott Garrett thinks like me. We think alike because it's the truth. If John Boehner, if Ted Cruz said this, they would have cancer. The Democrats would round up mothers in cancer wards and fly them outside Ted Cruz's office and or home in Texas to protest for the cameras. I'm telling you. How dare Harry Reid? I can't tell you how angry I am. I mean, I'm really angry. I have 1,100 people on furlough. They have their own problems. Really? Wow. And to hear Harry Reid, tomorrow we'll isolate Harry Reid. I never heard him say, wow, which he actually said. I mean, that's like somebody who doesn't have the energy to say his name actually saying, wow, with half an exclamation point. All right, we're going to come back. You want to weigh in on this? I'd love to hear from you. 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. It's the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes. A special website has been created just for you. At the free website 99reverse.com, we reveal the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. People who have followed this plan, exactly as found at 99reverse.com, have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's astounded approval. Now you can take this natural, safe, and drug-free approach to reversing diabetes. You won't get this advice anywhere else. At 99reverse.com, we reveal 3 common doctor recommendations about diabetes and why they are horribly wrong. Plus, you get 3 specific actions to take right now today that get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Go right now to 99reverse.com. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now while this revolutionary video is still available online for free. People who have followed this plan have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medication. That's 99reverse.com. 99reverse.com.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk thanks to our spendthrift politicians. Mark Twain said, "The truth is stranger than fiction." The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge for this special radio offer.
800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. Call Swiss America now for a free DVD. 800-818-3967.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
As many of you know, next Tuesday, the online insurance exchanges for the Affordable Care Act will be open to the public. While this is exciting news for all Americans, polls show that many are confused by the details of the law. And some have criticized me for failing to explain it better. So today, I've asked some regular Americans to come out and tell you how the Affordable Care Act will change your lives for the better. Regular people like Jennifer Osborne, a sales clerk right here in Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. President. And let me start by saying I am psyched for Obamacare.
There you go. I love that enthusiasm.
Because now that I've got free health care, I can get sick all the time. Woo! Free medicine, y'all.
That's pretty funny. Saturday Night Live doing a skit on Obamacare. And my son does a better Obama live. Doing a skit on Obamacare, and my son does a better Obama. Maybe we'll get a taste of it, but here's the next Saturday Night Live cut 17.
I've stopped watching.
Maybe we'll get a taste of it, but here's the next Saturday Night Live cut 17.
I've stopped watching.
Okay. Well, one great thing about the Affordable Care Act is that your children can stay on your insurance until they're 26. Here with a father-son success story are Larry and Craig Douglas. Come up here.
Wow. I am so relieved that my dumb, lazy, good-for-nothing son has full health coverage. We kept telling him, hey, idiot, you have to get a job to earn health care. But Mr. Obama here, he made sure that my son will never have to lift a finger to get insurance.
Well, I'm sure he wants to contribute.
No, this is a true story, okay? The other day, he pinched a nerve so bad whacking it that he couldn't even close the laptop. We all walked in from church, and the porno was just still playing, full volume. You know, and he was just lying on the floor. You're a loser, son.
If I'm a loser, how come I have health care?
Okay. You're a loser, son.
If I'm a loser, how come I have health care?
Okay.
Saturday Night Live.
Is there anyone here with something serious to say about the new healthcare system?
I'm Senator Ted Cruz. And I do not like you in a box. I do not like you with a fox.
Oh, no, not more Dr. Seuss. Come on.
I speak for the trees. Because the trees do not speak. But if they could speak, they would say, shut down the federal government.
Security.
Horton may hear a who, but the only thing I'm hearing right now is socialism!
Yes, indeed. And one more from Saturday Night Live, cut 19.
Here's a young man from New Mexico with a heartbreaking story about health care before the Affordable Care Act. So, Jesse, can you come up here? Thank you. Hey.
What's up?
I'm not sure who he is, but okay.
Yeah, I have this friend, you know, and he got sick, like cancer sick. But because there wasn't Obamacare, he couldn't afford the treatments. So he was like backed into a corner. You know what I mean?
And keep in mind, this man was a teacher with a family.
He was. So he did what any of us would have done. He started cooking meth.
Okay. All right, now hold on.
And soon it wasn't just meth. It was murder, you know? And not regular murder. Like he blew half a guy's face off.
I think we can probably wrap this up. Justin from New Mexico, everybody.
Wait. You don't want to know what happened to my friend?
No.
All right. We don't want to know what happened to his friend. That's one of the guys from Breaking Bad, by the way, I am told. So Saturday Night Live took Obamacare to task, ladies and gentlemen. Al Sharpton had a caller on his radio show who had a question about Obamacare. And the Reverend Al gave him the best advice possible because he's Reverend Al. He knows everything. Here's cut 42, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to listen up to this conversation between the Reverend Al and one of his callers.
I was wondering, what were your thoughts on Congress and the Senate opting out and with themselves and their staffers? And now the unions are trying to opt out. Is there something that they know about this health care bill that we don't?
Well, first of all, part of the bill is you can opt out. And I think that some of them opt out because they have other kinds of insurance and other security. Others opt in because they have no way of being insured. So part of the bill is to give you options. Part of those that are uninsured is that they don't have any options.
All right. First of all, I have no idea what he said after he said part of the bill is if you could opt out if you want to opt out. Yeah, if you don't pay your taxes, you don't want to pay your taxes, opt out. He didn't tell him about the little penalty. There's a penalty. You can't just say, I don't want health care. The law is that you're going to have health care. And if you don't, you're going to have to pay a fine or a penalty or whatever they want to call it, a tax, whatever it is. And it's, it's 1% of your gross income or another amount, whichever one is less or more. I don't remember. But the point is there's a penalty. Al Sharpton told this guy, first of all, part of the bill is that you can opt out. Oh, then what's everybody so upset about? Why don't we all just opt out? And if you don't like paying income taxes, Al Sharpton, give him a call. He'll tell you that, you can opt out. I mean, this insanity just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. I would say, what, are they out of their minds? But too many people would be expecting me to say that. All right, folks. Guido Barilla. You know the name? You'll love the pasta. Guido Barilla, chairman of the Barilla Pasta fortune, is, the blue boxes in the supermarket, told an Italian radio show that his pasta company preferred a traditional family, quote-unquote, image that excluded gays. We won't include gays in our ads because we like the traditional family, Barilla said. If gays don't like it, he said, they can always eat another brand of pasta. Everyone is free to do what they want, provided it doesn't bother anyone else. Question, maybe we could take this up another time. Would this prevent you from buying Barilla pasta? That's an interesting question. I haven't heard too much backlash on this so far. This happened about a week ago. Interesting. We'll talk about it. Government shutdown, day 3 tomorrow. Steve Malzberg Show, God willing. Newsmax TV and radio. Thanks, everybody.